In this video, it is the grudge match. It is Picasso versus Berlingo. I am going to champion the 512,000 mile Berlingo.
And I am going to champion our lovely trusty tow vehicle, Bella the Berlingo, who's done considerably less than 512,000 miles.
So we'll start with the similarities. Both these vehicles date from the latter end of 2002. Both these vehicles have a 90 brake horsepower, 2 litre HDI diesel engine. But in terms of on-the-road price when they were brand new, there is quite the difference. This was £13,805 back in 2002.
And Bella, the Multispace, would have cost you, she is a Forte, even though she hasn't got the badge, she blatantly is. She would have cost you £9,580. If we'd bought her in December, I believe it was, November rather, of 2002, she would have cost you slightly more, but still under the £10,000.
Yeah, it's worth pointing out that actually these cars were sold against each other for a long time. 2002, the latter end, right at the end, the Berlingo was facelifted into the M59, but the Picasso continued to be sold alongside. Both could later be had with the 1.6 litre HDI engine and various petrol engines as well. But they were staples alongside each other, and the difference in price kind of shows you why. I think if I was buying brand new, I would struggle to justify the extra expense of this.
There have been, and I mean, it speaks for itself. The Berlingo was first presented at the Paris Motor Show in 1996, and it sort of came onto the market in 1997. And Berlingo is still ongoing now in 2023. They're sold in ridiculous numbers because they are just so practical.
But
hostage these days.
But not everyone wanted practicality that looked like a van, and that's where the Picasso scores. But it just looks a bit different, like this fantastic
MPV.
egg.
This is an MPV.
This is an MPV.
Yes, but this is a really spacious, practical MPV.
So is this?
That is lovely family transport, but this is, you know, if you're a surfer, if you're a camper, if you've got children and dogs, this is your car.
Well, so is this. We've used both of these. This is the thing. We're not just comparing these from a quick test drive. We've done over 2,000 miles in this one. We've done about 11,000 miles in that one. So they've had a proper test through all manner of different conditions. And practicality is going to be interesting. We will look at that a bit later on. Well, there was a £4,000 difference, or over £4,000 difference when these cars were brand new. Move on 20 years, and you can kind of pick them up for similar sort of money. Perhaps the Berlingo is actually a little bit more expensive these days.
I think the Berlingo is more expensive because of the micro camper market.
Now, the one thing I will concede straight away is this is a lovely, colourful interior. There's a lot of character in here.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I mean, it's interesting interior for the beginning of the 2000s.
Yeah, very, very lively.
Exactly what you would anticipate.
Yeah,
90s, early 2000s.
We'll have a look inside the Picasso in a moment.
So, Multispace relates to the fact that she is a passenger carrying Berlingo.
Hence the rear seats.
She has three rear seats in a 2 and 1 formation. They fold down, they pull out, and so on. Seat belts, etc. I will say the NCAP rating is quite difficult to find for these, and I don't think they fared particularly well.
I don't think the M49 did do NCAP. I think
there is an NCAP.
I think Citroën tested it to the NCAP standards and went, oh dear, we've got work to do. And that's why the M59 Berlingo came in, which is much safer.
2005, there is a rating from 2005 which suggests that it's a 4-star for the adult passenger in the front, 3-star for the passengers in the rear, and 2 for pedestrians. But that's 2005, so that's irrelevant to the M49 really. Anyway, moving on from that, Bella is a Forte, so she's sort of bottom of the range. So you see blanking plates.
We've got no aircon.
No aircon.
We've got winding windows.
Winding windows, no central locking.
The rear windows, of course, are only pop-outs. So, but you know, all 4 of them pop out, so you can get some air moving through here. We've driven this car in some horrendous heat.
We have. Yeah, the air circulates really nicely.
Yeah.
On a triviality, I do think Bella's winning on the door bins. I think hers are bigger.
They're close. I will say both of them will take a considerable amount of wine in each door pocket.
Absolutely. We did consider getting the Modu top, but actually the reality is there is lots of random storage in Bella. You've got random storage up here. You've got 2 nets on either side, and there's storage in the floor as well on either side.
Yeah, both of them have that.
but we've never actually used it. So
We haven't.
With hindsight, getting a modu top might have been pointless operation.
Yeah.
From the perspective of a driver, I look teeny tiny.
I was just about to say that seat is set for me.
I can drive this car, but she's very forgiving actually, even if you're a learner driver. Mini Hubnut wants to learn to drive in Bella. She's got really big mirrors. She's a big square, so you know what
and the glass area is enormous.
The glass area is enormous. There's not many blind spots. So from a driver's perspective, she's very, very good. But there's not all that much more to talk about in here, apart from the fact she's lovely and colourful.
No, there probably isn't.
But we will.
But visibility is a key point. This massive windscreen, huge side windows. So we'll jump aboard the Picasso and see how that compares.
But I think Bella is going to absolutely come into her own when you see the boot
Yeah, we'll do some rear versatility tests shortly.
Absolutely. What are we going to do? We're going to stick stuff in it?
Because I think actually the Picasso has got a lot going for it.
No,
don't start. We'll get there.
But I've said it before. Having had a first generation Scenic versus this, the boot space is better.
Yeah.
The Scenic lost so much boot space to the curve at the back. So I'll give it that.
Okay, well, let's not jump ahead. Let's go and see how the cabin of the Picasso compares.
And be nice, because I've just hoovered it. So.
Okay. So jumping into the Picasso, I will say with 500,000 miles on it, this seat is feeling a little firm there. I think some of the comfort has gone out of it, but I've driven this car long distance. Not really an issue.
However, to be fair, passenger seat, having been used considerably less, is very comfortable.
And
it does have armrests.
On both front seats.
I forgot to mention in Bella, incredibly comfortable.
Yeah.
You would not anticipate the fabled van with windows to be comfortable, but she is extremely comfortable.
But in a way, I think I prefer the driving position of the Berlingo. The Picasso, it's a nice position.
You're supposed to be fighting for the Picasso.
I know. But the floor is also much higher in the Picasso. So it feels like the whole thing has been raised up. The Berlingo, very deep footwells. And I like that, it's a bit more comfortable. But I will say, I've got twin airbags. Bella the Berlingo has only one.
She's got one.
She's got one. But otherwise, broadly similar. We've got a dash gear change instead of on the floor, and I will say this a little bit baggier, but given the mileage again, still not bad. This would have had air conditioning. It doesn't work. But again, another grumble I have to have is the visibility, because this pillar cuts into the view forward quite substantially. The windscreen is so far away. But I think the Berlingo gets it back by having a much better windscreen wiper performance. And we will compare those later.
Oh, we're actually doing that.
Well, of course we're going to do that. No triangular doom here. This is a quality vehicle. Another peculiarity is the speedometer is in this bank over here. It's, sorry, not illuminated at the moment. And I do prefer having it ahead, but I will say that becomes so natural because it's so far away. It's not massively out of your line of vision. So it's quite easy to keep an eye on the speed whilst looking at the road ahead.
Bella's just old school.
I was just wondering how many electric windows. I think we're 2 electric windows, aren't we, in this SX specification?
Yeah, I think early on. So the Picasso ran from 99 to 2012, didn't it?
You're not showing yourself again.
And in the beginning, which I assume includes this one, you only had 2 specs. So I'm guessing you had sort of a base spec and a top spec. So where do we think this sits?
Well, I think this is an SX. I think it's actually badged SX, which is kind of the lower spec. C5 was an SX as well.
Yeah.
So it's got a few toys, but not ever so many.
Oh, no, but it has. I mean, if you're looking at the fact that the £4,000 has got to be somewhere. These are both cars with a good Citroën lineage, aren't they?
They are.
This is the Xsara Picasso, so it's based on Xsara and so on. This is Bella the Berlingo, who would have come from the C15 and many other
all the way back
Citroën
to the
vans
2CV,
so
that
on
lineage. That's a very long one.
beforehand. So, yeah, we've got to work out where that £4,000 went.
Yeah. So my Picasso has wide opening rear doors to allow plenty of easy rear seat access.
Wide opening. Ta-da!
Okay, I will concede that is very useful in a tight car park situation.
Oh yes, there's many times. I know where this is going to fall down in that case if we're talking about tight car parks, but we'll get to that.
We'll get to that.
But yeah, so here we are in the back of Bella the Berlingo.
Are you going to hop in?
Yeah, I'm going to hop in. Now the beauty of the Berlingo is she's not wiped down, but she's pretty damn close.
I'm going to have to lift that up. There we go.
She's pretty damn close to being wiped down in here. As I mentioned, we've had kids in here, we've had dogs in here, we've had incidents with said dogs.
Yes.
And she's just wiped down perfectly well, hasn't she?
Yeah.
Yeah. You can hoover her out in no time at all. She's just very, very, very practical. Very
In
practical.
terms of the rear seat, it's actually very comfortable for a full-size adult.
Head restraints
So much headroom.
for your £9,580.
Yeah, adjustable head restraints, 3-point seat belts on all 3 seats. So it's pretty good, but I will say it's 2 under 1, and you can fold the seats, you can tumble the seats, and you can take them out entirely. And I'm going to say that's not as good as the Picasso. Now, the big advantage of the Picasso is 3 individual seats, and each one can be folded, tumbled, or removed.
Yeah.
Also, these seats recline. Woo! So I can get a bit more of a limousine driving experience.
Head is.
Okay, yeah. There may be headroom issues in the back of the Picasso for the taller person, and I find the seat is barely supporting my legs at all. These are a bit more child-sized, I think, these
They
rear
are very
seats.
much so.
But you know, we've got the picnic trays
Oh yeah, but not just the picnic
with
trays.
the Picasso
The
logo.
little tiny Picasso.
Yeah,
Now this Picasso has obviously lived a very charmed life,
yeah.
because all these things are usually snapped off, broken and whatnot. But
Everything still
both
works.
tables are in situ.
Yeah.
And I got to say, anybody actually that sits in the back of here is instantly impressed with these, aren't they?
And the
So
rear
funny.
seat can also slide, if you can just pull it forward. No, this seat.
This one.
Yeah. Oh no, it was already forward. So you can slide it back and forward a little bit. You push it forward?
Yep.
Oh, there you go. Quite a long way.
Also, if you haven't got 3 children.
Yeah, you fold it down. Cup holders. We got cup holders all over the
Galore.
place. I will say that is a
Ballast.
big improvement.
Have you got 2?
2 in the glove box lid.
Oh,
And they're not very deep, are they?
Yeah, but I quite like that.
You like the
It's-
danger of them
No,
just
no, no.
falling over?
It's nostalgic Citroën, because that's what we've got in the
Nostalgic
GSA. It's a nod to nostalgia.
Well, perhaps.
And this here, interestingly, when you've got your shopping in the back to hold your bags.
Well, it's not really to hold you back. Look, it's a clipboard.
No.
That's for
It's
putting
not.
your documentation, so you can have a business meeting in the back of your
Business meeting in
Picasso.
the back of
Because obviously you're a high flyer. That's why you spent the extra £4,000.
If you're a super high flyer, you buy the C5.
Point made.
Yeah.
Which means really we've got 3 contenders here, all from Citroën, all made at the same time. We've actually already recorded a little video about that, which we're going to plonk over on the Hubnut channel, where we discussed adding the C5 to this competition.
We have, although when we did that, we didn't realise quite how much a C5 cost.
No. But
But we'll get to that.
we're probably getting to the stage where we need to spin our
You've
wagons.
Got,
Oh no, you aren't finished
you've
yet.
got a lighter
Oh, I forgot about
point
that.
here.
Yeah. Thank you for reminding me how much more
good,
superior
so
my
much
vehicle is.
charges. Yeah, slight lack in Bella. She does
Yeah.
have a cigarette lighter, and we do charge off it. But the reason that we charge multiple things is because we've got extenders and whatnot.
Yeah, we got all sorts. But yeah.
Oh, and you've got underfloor storage.
Oh yes, don't forget the underfloor storage
goodness
here
me.
as well.
Gosh,
So
that
just
looks
like the Berlingo.
identical, doesn't it?
Oh look, we got manuals and stuff in there. How convenient. So largely similar, but I will say, I think for me to sit in the back, I prefer the Berlingo. But for kiddie transport and practicality with the 3 individual seats, I think the Picasso's winning.
I think long distance practicality, if we were travelling to the continent or whatever, then it might be this. You've got lovely big deep door bins as well in the rear as well, which is unusual and nice.
They're for bottles. They put bottles there
just in case. But
in case
notice
you
that's
didn't
a
realise.
water bottle, just in case anybody got confused.
Yeah, it only takes wine bottles in the front.
But yeah, I think if we were travelling to the continent or whatever, comfort-wise, this back seat for children, possibly, yeah. But then again, you've got Bella, you've got the practicality, and it's still comfortable.
It is still comfortable. Yeah, both are very,
You
very
wouldn't
comfortable.
object to travelling to the continent in Bella.
But let's have a look at luggage areas.
Oh yeah, I win.
So then, practicality. Now, it's got to be said, first off, either of them are superb family wagons. Both have plenty of space and practicality on offer. So let's look at the specifics. Let's start with a bit of an issue with the Berlingo.
This is both one of her great strengths and one of her weaknesses, because she has
Massive
massive
tailgate.
which in a car park space is not ideal. You have to be very careful with how you park and where you park her. However, in a camping scenario, bloody brilliant.
Yeah, rain shelter.
The amount of times we've been camping in the rain and you're sheltered.
Yeah.
And you can get additions onto this, so you can actually make it a shelter.
But I'm just going to grab the camera to just demonstrate one other failing of this massive tailgate.
What?
Which is that it slams down so far and so hard, and this panel is so big that it rattles something awful, which is why I've simply removed it. I've absolutely had enough.
Yeah, we haven't talked about interior noise, and I've got to say the Picasso is better. I don't know how much sound deadening the Berlingo has.
Not very much. Look, there's the rear wheel arches.
Like none. But she's not noisy, is she?
She's not noisy, but she's noisier,
Bear
I'd
in mind,
say.
she's a 2-litre diesel.
Yeah, and
she's
van-based.
a van with windows.
Yeah.
She's not noisy at all, actually.
And you want to demonstrate your luggage cover?
My luggage cover?
Because you obviously have to do this yourself. It doesn't happen
Kindly
automatically.
donated by the good folks at
Tanagor's Car
Tanagor's
Dismantlers.
Car Dismantlers. Thank you
Yeah,
very, very much.
and it's a really big, useful space.
775 litres, actually.
Wow.
In the next generation, it was 1,100 litres, and they claim in the next generation that when you put the seats down, you get 3,000 litres.
Blimey.
I don't think
That's a lot of wine. But I'm going to open up the electronic switch on the back of my Picasso and point out one feature that you should like, which is that tailgate is currently set to small person height. Can you reach it? Can you reach it though? Can you reach it? Yes. And then it goes up a bit further, so I can still get underneath
Bella's
it.
got that too.
Well, she's just got a strap. She does it more simply.
It's the same.
Yeah. But as you can see, both of them have got capacious boots. And the fact that you can adjust the backrests on the rear seats means you can alter the amount of space even without having to take seats
And
out.
again, as is testament to how well this car's been looked after.
Yeah, it's actually still got its little module box.
Oh, module box.
Yeah, we have got one for Bella, but we don't seem to have an attachment point. Maybe we can make something work with there.
Apparently she would have.
Yeah. So we need to try and work out where the
Anyway,
module, because we have one thanks to Jono at Peak 2CV.
Yes, huge thank you for that.
But yeah, I mean, both swallow up a load of space. I will concede there is a slight problem. They both look very impressive from this angle, but when you come round to the side, you see the Berlingo just goes straight up, whereas old Picasso over here is a bit more swoopy. So above the parcel shelf line, you don't have very much space
no, and
at
not
all.
workable space because it's leaning in as
Yeah.
well. So
that is a bit of a failing.
I mean, you could stick a fridge or washing machine, you could stick
Yeah.
anything in here, you wouldn't even notice.
Right, seats, rear seats.
Rear seats.
How quickly and easily do they fold down? Go. And then it should just rock over, I think.
Oh,
Yep,
yeah,
there we
it
go.
does.
This one
It does.
almost does that, but is a little more broken because there's a clamp.
Are we
That clamp
going
doesn't
to
quite work.
demonstrate it, or are
We should
going to
demonstrate it,
assume that it's going
But
to do
we'll
that?
have to manually force it a bit.
Manual forcing. Oh, God.
Yeah, you see?
Oh, it catches. Why does it catch it on?
It catches because something has broken slightly. There we go.
There we go. So easy.
So easy.
No, if that mechanism worked, that would be really, really quick. And already you've got a super usable space. But if you take out these, you've got another like foot of space.
Yeah, it's not a simple lift out. I thought it was, my mistake. They are actually bolted in or held in by this pin. But I think you can actually release them from that. I thought you could do it fairly easily, but actually no.
Let's not start.
I don't think that is
completely
coming
as
out.
we're going away in this car this weekend.
Yeah. Okay, you can't do that. It's
But even now, this is a huge workable
Cavernous.
space. It's we've got friends who are considerably taller than me camping their Berlingos,
yeah.
and they say you can get a double bed in here really easily.
Yeah, because
So-
if you do take out the rear seats, you can also tip these seats forward.
Yeah.
So they tip like in a three door, so you just get a bit more extra length.
Yeah, and the other thing, talking on the subject of micro campers, is that bearing in mind Bella is basic, you've still got lights in the back here.
Yeah,
if you're
and
micro
speakers.
camping, perfect.
Yeah.
You've got hooks to hook things on. So yes, she is basic, but she's got everything you could possibly
I
need.
just noticed something else. You get green seat belts as well,
Yeah.
which is obviously very cool.
Everything's colour coordinated.
Right, you take over camera, I'll demonstrate how brilliant the Picasso is. So, nice and simple. You've got these hoops for the seat belts, so you've got to unhook those first. That keeps those out the way. Fold the seat, and then there's a separate tab somewhere to tip it over. So there we go.
And they do come out simply in this, don't they?
They do. Yeah, it's just that handle there.
Yeah, they absolutely
And then
do
you
come
can
out
actually lift
simply.
the whole seat out, I think. Not very easily while you're in the back. And let's complete the story.
Am I imagining that the also driven folks actually pulled the seats out and had a picnic?
They didn't just have
Is
a
that what
picnic.
happened?
Jim and his partner spent an entire
Oh, they
night
did. They
sleeping
did.
in this vehicle to raise money for charity.
They did.
So there we go. They fold really nicely, and I'll try and demonstrate how easily they come out.
So easily. I love the so easily demonstrations. It's like Blue Peter, isn't it?
There we go. I'll just take the seat out.
Oh,
Oh.
oh, you're hooked. You're hooked on that side.
Oh, he's hooked himself back in again.
I don't want to go out.
Yeah, apparently he likes it here. Oh, it's hooked on the carpet. This is like when I went to a Vauxhall dealer and they went, oh yeah, the seats in this Zafira are really clever. And
Oh
then
no, Zafira seats are really clever.
they couldn't get them to fold.
But it does this.
There we go, it's as simple as that. And now, I've got a picnic seat. It's like a 2CV. Marvellous. So I think, in terms of raw practicality, I reckon the Picasso wins.
Are you for real?
I am
No,
for real.
Not at all.
If space is absolutely
no,
what
I
you
was
want.
just looking at this space, and beyond the back of the back seats, it's curved in. You've lost so much space there compared to my big
spaces and
square
everything. How
box.
often do we use all that space at the top of the Berlingo?
Often.
Never.
We load Bella
Never.
with all kinds of crap.
And you can't pop a seats out for a picnic like this. Winning.
Yeah, but you can.
Do you think I'm winning? Down in the comments, let us know. And I've just remembered while we got the tailgates open, a problem with both of these cars. On both of them, the tailgates rattle.
Yeah, they do.
So a quick bit of engine bay talk. This one still has its cover just about in place. Not at all. Oh, it's attached there, so it's fine.
Bella has cover.
Yeah, I will say I think there's a bit more space down the back of the engine on the Picasso, because the scuttle is just a little bit higher.
It's
Whereas-
surprising really, because the engine bay is bigger on Bella. But
Yeah, but somehow the engine is canted
It's
back
really
into the
tidy-
bulkhead. So it's
tight
trying to get
to the
down the EGR valve and the turbo. Not very nice, but this is what the engine looks like with the cover removed. Bella's cover has come off, and they can cause a lot of issue. So we've taken it off
she has
for a
one.
good
She
reason.
might have it for show.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, let's do a start-up of each and see if they sound different, given they've got the same
I
engine.
love you playing with this because you know they do.
So this is the Berlingo. Surprisingly smooth, I think. Yeah, funny, isn't it? Same engine,
Yeah. There's
but
a different
definitely
engine note
sounds
there.
different.
There is a different engine note there.
Is it just because of the acoustic cover? We don't know.
I don't know. Because it's not very tightly attached.
No. Well, let's see if they sound different out on the actual road.
But isn't that interesting? Because this is the more plush vehicle, sounds a little smoother, and Bella's the more rustic.
Even
sounds a
though
bit more
it's
rustic.
exactly the same engine.
Weird.
Bizarre one. Here we go, in the Berlingo then.
And actually, as we were just discussing, we haven't ridden around in Bella for a while. And actually,
16.
with the door plastic removed, she's pretty. Listen to that now. That's starting to rattle.
Yeah, the tailgate's still rattling. I'm starting to think they always do. But like I say, both of them have that same problem, but they both do that. But yeah, I do like the mirrors. I will concede they are just big, beautiful. They give such a good view of what's going on behind you. And of course, the windscreen is so big, so wonderful view ahead. Windscreen wiper test. There's a couple of problems with a Berlingo. One is this big triangle of doom. When you're parked up and do that, the water just runs straight back down the windscreen. The other one, as you may be able to see, the wipers sit out in the airflow. So after you've washed the windscreen, screen wash just gets blown back all over the windscreen again, and you do this and then it gets blown around some more, so you do it again, and it's an endless cycle. It's not terrible, but the wipers could be a little better, I think. So let's see how the Picasso compares. First of all, turning circle, not as good in this as the Berlingo. The wheelbase must be a bit longer, I think. But the sound is similar, but somehow a little more refined, I think. That's us up to 60 miles an hour, and it all feels so much more futuristic in here, because it is. This is futuristic, albeit futuristic 20 years ago. But you know, we've got the display here. It's not quite a head-up display, but it's ahead of me. And yeah, it's just a really comfortable place to sit. I will say this heater box seems to intrude a little more against my left leg than in the Berlingo. But of course, the big improvement over the Berlingo is the windscreen wipers. So here we go, wash the windscreen, and good overlap because they're clap handers, and no triangle of doom. We do occasionally get a bit of a dribble from the middle here. Yeah, but overall a much better performance. You note, because the wiper blades are protected from the airflow, you don't get the spray of water off the wipers all over the windscreen again. Also, it could come a little closer to the windscreen edge here. The edge of the windscreen sort of curves out against the straight line of the wiper blade, but that's a bit of a minor grumble. But yeah, these pillars do intrude in your vision a bit, but in terms of overall driving experience, it's so similar, which should be no surprise. Under the skin, they are pretty much identical. McPherson strut front suspension, torsion bar torsion bar trailing arm at the rear, exactly the same setup, exactly the same weaknesses. Torsion bars can corrode, axle arm bearings can wear out. We've got a mild creak from the passenger seat, but otherwise it's pretty quiet here. The tailgate rattle, not quite as bad in this, but it is there from time to time.
What about motorway speeds?
And motorway speeds, I was just noticing there doesn't seem much difference between fourth and fifth in this. I think fifth gear is a little shorter, and it can get a bit boomy at the legal limit, and perhaps a little beyond. Let's say an indicated 75, so you are doing kind of a legal 70 miles an hour, according to my sat nav anyway, and it can get a bit boomy. And I don't know if that's just because that's how they were, or if that's just because this one has done so many miles, 512,000 miles, and I think that's a good sign for both of them. They are pretty robust vehicles. You will have to look after them. Stuff will wear out, rear suspension, etc., but they will just keep going on and on if you actually look after them. So there we go. That was the head-to-head I've been looking forward to making for a while now. But which one is best?
Well, we want to look at this from two different dimensions, don't we?
Yeah.
Which would you have bought new? You walk into the Citroën dealership, you've got a wad of cash. Which would you have gone for?
It would have to be Berlingo. I just can't see why you would spend an extra £4,000 on this. It doesn't do very much more than that when brand new.
Interestingly, I think I would have been swung if the children were smaller.
Yeah.
It's more practical.
Possibly.
But having big children, it's got to be the Berlingo for me as well.
Yeah,
I think
it's just sheer practicality.
Absolute practicality. And we've just loved being in her. We haven't been in it for a while, so it's been lovely to be in her again. And what about now on the second-hand market?
Now is a bit more difficult, isn't it? The Berlingo values have really firmed up, and they're starting to become almost unaffordable. They really are holding their value well as the number of survivors plummets.
Yeah.
But whereas these are kind of just disappearing off the face of the planet. They were in production for quite a long time, so there's quite a few later ones around. But early ones like this, pre-facelift with the grey bumpers,
They're disappearing.
They're disappearing very fast.
I've got to say, they were used as vans as well, weren't they?
They were.
I mean, we saw one the other day on a 5.3 plate, was it?
Being used window
that was
cleaning.
being used for window cleaning.
Yeah.
And there was one until recently in Newquay that was used by a painter and decorator.
But they're kind of ideal for that, so they do have their following. But it's an interesting one.
Yeah, second-hand market, what are we thinking? You'd go Picasso?
I feel like I should champion the Picasso because I think no one ever does.
And they are fading.
They are so overlooked. There is this class thing that it's like, Picasso, they're owned by anti-car people. I think that's a bit unfair because you've got lovely fluid suspension. Handling is nothing to shout about, but you can have fun. You can punt it down a twisty road.
And it was a beautiful piece of design in its
Yeah,
time. I know.
yeah.
Bella, close your ears. She is a rectangle.
She's a box. Yeah, big box.
She's just a box. But this was something different.
Yeah.
I know you'd had the Scenic, which slightly predates it, but this is something very, very different. The rugby ball shape trying to be aerodynamic.
Okay, then
and so
well,
on.
let's make this a firm decision. This isn't our car. This is disappearing this week, which leaves us with Bella the Berlingo. If something happened to Bella, we had to replace her. What would you replace her with?
I'd get another Berlingo. What would you do?
I would think very hard about a Picasso.
Would you?
Yeah, but I think you're right. I think because our kids are a little older, I think this is a little kinder to them. So yeah, it would be a difficult call though.
Yeah.
They are two very similar vehicles, and these days there's no value difference.
And the hilarious
Really?
thing will be just wait till we add a C5 into the mix.
Yeah. So yeah, go to Hubnut to check out our conversation on that. But that was Picasso versus Berlingo, two very similar vehicles from one manufacturer, but each with its own merits. So thank you very much for watching. Don't forget you can head to the Hubnut store. We've got because French merchandise, we've got Bella the Berlingo merchandise, we've got something about a Daihatsu available
Only
as
the
well.
best one.
So hoodies, t-shirts, all sorts. So yeah, thank you for watching, and we'll see you in a future video. Farewell.
How are you going to portray this? Berlingo for the win!